Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're talking and focusing in a little bit more on an interesting viewer comment. I don't know if it was a comment from her. She said, I'm working harder for myself, stuff the narc. I'm not sure particularly what that meant, but I am going to be discussing here and focusing in on a little bit of the covert narcissist and what we call the codependent relationship dynamic. And really, the codependent is someone who ends up working harder for another than they do for themselves. They are so other focused, they are so other consumed, they are so other focused and people pleasing that they eventually don't get in the mix. They do not even come to be felt as important because of this altruistic personality type that oftentimes gets drawn to someone who is narcissistic, someone who is self-defacing, someone who is, doesn't have a real strong or big ego, someone who feels a little bit insecure or has been swept off their feet by this charming individual. And so they have basically bought into this covert narcissist or this overt narcissist or the psychopath that they're quote unquote better than them, or they have some gift that they need in their life and that they're missing in their life, so they feel that this other person complements them. But then there becomes a perception issue where the person really feels themselves to be not as good as or not as important or doesn't have as much to offer to the relationship. So, and as you go with time, this mindset then tends to become very self-defacing or very, it becomes, from a positive, which can be humility and humbleness and one of admiration to, then it becomes, oftentimes one of self-neglect. If it's not disciplined, if one doesn't have the awareness that really the relationship is kind of running away with them energetically and that they're focused too much on pleasing this other person, they're looking from the outside in instead of the inside out, it tends to become a real relationship issue and a problem with that individual. And it can be very crippling. And I have a lot of viewers who experience this sort of dissociation. They don't know, quote unquote, who they are. They don't know, what they want. They have difficulty kind of imagining their life without this individual. And of course, that can occur if you are in love with somebody because you've become, so built into, you've become, so bound together and your lives are growing together that oftentimes, though, if this occurs through a narcissist, it can become imbalanced. Imbalanced mean, you don't have a lot of the experience of asserting yourself in the relationship. You don't have a lot of the independence. We see a lot of couples who don't have their own credit. They don't have their own employment. They don't have their own bank account. Nothing is in their name. They don't have the experience for, feeling like they don't have a lot of I am statements about themselves. It's almost like, they're, Mrs. their wife. They don't feel like they even have a first and last name. I had a very poignant client who told me about her sister who was indubitably, unequivocally in a relationship with a narcissist. And she always went, I forgot what his last name was, but she always went by the name of his name. She never even used her first name. And it was very sad because this woman ended up passing away. And that was actually how her tombstone read, was Mrs. So-and-so. Her first name wasn't even on, wasn't even on that. And it was just, the story was really very sad, poignant, and moving. I just was brought to tears. And, she basically had no life. Her husband had basically created this atmosphere where, she was just Mrs. So-and-so. she was not, she was just basically like an extension of him. And it got very severe. I mean, where she wasn't permitted really to live her own life, not permitted to keep her own schedule, follow her own dreams. I mean, really talk about keeping somebody under their thumb, kept her very, very cloistered away. And it's almost like, if you don't use your personality muscles, if you don't go out there and interact, if you don't interface with the world, if you don't have your own identity, it's going to weaken. Part of the personality is you need to spread your wings and fly. You need to go out there. You need to know who you are, what you're about, what your values are, and get to kind of know a little bit more about yourself, not just as you exist in the shadows of another. And the very difficult thing is that oftentimes the covert the covert wants to keep others kind of stuck, blocked in this relationship. And so if you don't, physically get yourself away, you are not going to be able to get the perspective, the experience, and the emotional fortitude, the emotional experience of being on your feet or having your own viewpoint and being able to back yourself up with that sort of credibility, with your own feelings, your own, insights, your own opinions, and not just being subject to another, but being able to have your own and share them and being treated with respect and love and kindness. Then this is going to become a very sort of shrinking life. It's going to become a very, you're going to feel unhappy or unfulfilled or like something is missing. So that is really what happens when there's a codependent and covert narcissist or overt narcissist relationship. The individual feels like they have to focus so much on this other person or work so hard on them that they are losing track of what they want for themselves. And so part of the human condition is to work on yourself. And to work on yourself basically means to experience the discipline required to develop, to have control over your emotions, to be able to regulate your emotions. In other words, not to have excessive sadness, excessive depression, excessive pressure, excessive fear, excessive obligation, excessive guilt, resentment, regret, all those things that can become part of an undisciplined life. You have to discipline and get it to the positive, which is the positive focus of goal achievement, having a goal for yourself, having a vision for yourself, having an objective, working on it daily. So knowing that you deserve to be happy and to experience happiness on a consistent basis. People don't experience one emotion for all day long. There's a whole variety of emotions that's part of the human experience, and that's part of the richness of it. However, it is important to discipline your emotions and discipline your thoughts and have the proper self-belief in yourself so that you can have that discipline of thought and discipline of emotions. So being able to have that awareness and focus on the affirmations. I am inspiration. I am joy. I am abundance. I am peace. I am magnificence. I am awareness. All these different part of your self-talk is very important because is the language directs your experience oftentimes. So it's very important to get that going, to get that positive self-talk going. And I know a lot of viewers, say, I don't really do that. Well, it's time to, perhaps experience how to do that so you can realize that that is how you then generate that positive emotion and have that flowing through your body. So you're not just feeling like overwhelmed and anxious and upset and angry and frustrated. You have to, make some effort. It does take some effort. It does take some focus. It does take some experience. It does take the doing. So there is some practice in doing to experience those personal developed B state, so that you are independent, you are autonomous, you are energized, and you are not a victim. Instead, you are a victor. So it's important for you to resonate that and resonate that on an energetic level. And so such is the topic of sympathetic resonance. So you need to go out and be around positive sounds, positive thoughts, positive images. If you're constantly around the negative, it's by sympathetic vibration that you're going to pick it up, and you're going to start to feel cruddy. You're going to start to feel awful. So if you're like constantly around, negative sounds, very heavy, very loud, crashing, etc., unhappiness, people yelling, doors slamming, people insulting, you're going to feel negative. That's what we call a negative vibration. That's a negative energy, and it tends to be absorbed by the body. And then if it's absorbed by the body, and then, it becomes a cycle where, and then you vocalize angry, you then pick it up, and then you feel angry. And so it just becomes a cycle. If you're around happiness, sun, birds, flowers, beautiful colors, beautiful scents, beautiful lights, beautiful artwork, positive emotions, positive music, something that's uplifting, something that is pleasant to the ear, pleasant to the eye, pleasant to the nose, pleasant to the taste. We talk about, in the recovery after experiencing narcissistic or psychopathic abuse, how important it is to really use the positive senses and surround yourself with positive fabrics, positive scents, positive images. We talk about how important it is to have positive art around. Things are uplifting, it's reinforcing, it's creating that positive atmosphere, which goes to help develop a positive thought and a positive belief in yourself and a positive emotion, which then creates a positive personality. So it's very important to actively get those moving in your environment and in the people. And so you take basically those steps, which is what we're calling self-empowerment here. So go ahead and do that. And if you have things in your environment which are bringing you down, not energetic, don't make you feel good, get rid of them. Move them out. Get them out away, whether it's clutter, whether it's papers, whether it's old things of that nature, get rid of it. Give it to, throw things away. Get rid of the garbage. Get rid of anything that isn't really uplifting you and serving you and leading to that simple contentment and satisfaction. And furthermore, bring in the positive into your life, the positive sounds, the positive sights, the positive scents, the positive feelings, the positive tastes, and get those, and that will help re-energize you, and it will help you become more in tune with yourself and work on yourself and not just work on a narcissist. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share. Please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.